to studio Robert Singer, the chairman of the Center for Jewish Impact and the former CEO of the World Jewish Congress. And I want to start with you, Robert, because more and more details are emerging about the depravity and the scale of the brutality. We heard that report from my colleague Ariel Osaran at Kibbutz Be'eri. Difficult to look at those images and hear what unfolded. Your thoughts about the assessment of the state of the country, the psyche of the country, the pain and the trauma right now for Israelis?
Yeah. I don't think there's one person in Israel today that is not painful about the situation. I think regardless in what area of the state you live in, everybody feels it. There are many circles that suffered from what happened. Obviously, people living in the south, the 20 kibbutzim and the Moshav, the Nativ Asara suffered the most, but also the cities like Ashkelon that took more than 25% of the rockets, Sderot, Ofakim, Nativot, Beersheba, and every place. I visited day before yesterday our hospitals in Barzilai in Ashkelon, in Soroka and Beersheba, in Asuta in Ashdod, and in Kaplan, in Rehovot. All of them received many wounded, and you can see on one hand the pain, but on the other hand the determination of Israel and mainly of the civil society, because I think that in many ways civil society came and replaced what government is supposed to do in many areas. So we have today over 500,000 people in the uniform, which is heavily affects the government and everybody, the society and everybody else. But I think that everybody is ready and understand that we're here for a long run. I do want to add the additional thing. The attack was obviously on Israel and on Israeli citizens, but it's an attack on Jewish people.
Absolutely, and Hamas says as much. It's part of its mandate, it's part of its charter.
Yeah, but what we see now, 100%, but what we see now, and it's just the beginning of it, the effect of this on what is happening in different places in diaspora. I just saw the pro-Palestinian demonstration in one of the Ivy League universities in Cornell. Yesterday, students were locked up in the Cooper College, which is probably the most famous college for architecture, and you have it in many countries worldwide. Just a big demonstration was in Stockholm, in London, and almost in every place. And I think it's just the beginning of what we are going to see, and that's why also the bond and the relations between the diaspora and Israel on one hand become more fragile, but on the other hand became much stronger.
And Robert Singer, you have your finger on the pulse of the international world and the Jewish communities in the international world. Your take on the U.S. support for Israel right now? Obviously, we know President Joe Biden came in recent days. His message was clear, unwavering support. But at the same time, these reports that the U.S. is saying just wait on that ground invasion. Your take on the state of play between Israel and the U.S. right now and the impact on the communities in the U.S.?
Yeah. No, I think that what we experienced, most of the Israelis here, with the visit of President Biden and his statements, I think the majority of the Israeli population was positively surprised by the statements he made. The question really remains where it will lead us and what actions will be taken. In the situation where we have a puppet master sitting there in Tehran and every time activates pulls different string. Once it's Hamas, the other one that's Hezbollah and the Houthim, and tomorrow I don't know what else will happen in what part of the world, and now attacking also the American military base, obviously can bring to a bigger conflict and to regional conflict in the region. And I guess that this is what Americans are trying to avoid. But from the point of view of the statement and position of the American administration towards what's happening here in Israel, at least as of now, I think we have the full support, the full legitimacy, and it's pretty clear to Americans, to everybody, to European leaders, it's pretty clear that there is going to be a complete restart of the situation in the south, and hopefully also in the north. But, you know, we live in the area where every day is like a month, and the developments here are very quick. Or is dealing with the research on security, so he can tell you more about this, and we really have to follow it up very, very quickly. The situation that the Jewish community in the United States reports 388% increase in the anti-Semitic attacks only in the last 2 weeks is intolerable. And similar numbers you have in many countries in Europe. And I don't think that the leaders of many governments fully realize this. I'm just coming from lunch with one of the European ambassadors, and about 10% in his country are people are Muslim. But obviously, the problem is not with the whole Muslim population. The problem is with the extreme sides in this population. And this, from the point of view of the Jewish community, needs to be very closely watched, including the physical security of the communities. And I think that to some extent in the past they had more to rely on what is happening in Israel. At this stage, they will have to see also how they closely cooperate with the local governments and also take care of their own security of their religious places, schools, and all the rest.